This conference will now be recorded.
Hey guys, good morning. There are many people yet to join. Let's wait for 2 more minutes. However, guys, one important thing, I have shared software in the Google Classroom link. I request everybody to install the software and be ready before the next session. Okay. And some of you haven't saved my contact. So I keep sending broadcast messages about the session updates. For those of you who haven't saved my contact, you will not be able to receive the messages. So please make sure you save my contact, okay, so that you can get updates about the session and everything. So anybody facing any issues with the PEGA installation? Just in case if you're facing, in the same Google Classroom link, I have given you the steps to resolve it. Okay, please follow that, and if you still have any issues, reach out to me. Okay, we'll kickstart today's session. Any questions before we start the session? Okay. Meghna, is this your first session?
No, I have joined last time as well, last week.
Okay, okay, fine. Okay. So last session we were speaking about the various studios we have in PEGA. Okay. So this concept was introduced only in PEGA 8. Prior to that, we did not have all these things. Okay. Because now we are in PEGA 24, so nobody is going to ask you about this. So just remember that we have 4 different studios in PEGA. One is dev, next one is app, admin, and prediction. Once upon a time, this was a very famous interview question. So please try to remember all the 4 studios' names and their purpose. Dev, app, admin, and prediction. So Dev Studio is purely for the dev team. Developers will set and create the rules. Admin Studio is purely for the administrators. They will look at the requesters, background jobs, listeners, exceptions, errors, all these things, logs, everything they will check from the Admin Studio. App Studio is basically for non-technical people like a business analyst and a manager. What can they do there? They can create operators, they can create flows, data tables, and all these things. Generally, they are not doing it in real time, but if they want to do, they can do it from the App Studio. And the last one is Prediction Studio, purely for the data scientists. So this is what we have explored in the last session. Now today's topic is all about authentication and authorization. And this is one of the most famous interview questions. They keep asking you, do you know the difference between authentication and authorization? Okay. What exactly is authentication? Anybody from the session? Guys, do you know what is authentication?
Yeah, yes, Nikhila.
Yes,
Where
please.
yeah, if you have the authentication, where we can log into the application, and the
Mhm,
authorization of once we log in the application, if you
mhm.
want to go to some particular rules and all, uh, with, for that we need the authorization.
Okay. Guys, do you agree with this answer? Anybody has any other answers? Oh,
A
yeah.
similar
Mhm,
authentication is like to determine whether uh, whoever you say you are, and
mhm.
authorization is how much access do you have.
Exactly right. So both what Vijay said and what Loveleen said are exactly right. So authentication is first checking who you are. Okay. Do you have access to this application? Okay. Let's say, for example, you're trying to access Facebook or Instagram. So first thing is like you give your username and password and you try to log in. So authentication is like, do you have access to Instagram, or do you have access to Facebook, or do you have access to so and so application? That is authentication. Like just checking, can you log in into that application or not? Can you just get in or not? Authorization is once you get in, can you look at this content? Is this visible to you? Is this editable to you? Is this read only to you? Though that is all authorization. Authorization means within the application, some part of the application may or may not be accessible to you. So that accessibility comes only if you are an authorized person. Like say for example, I can log in into my bank account, okay, and I can check my bank balance. I can, I can do various things. Now, similarly, a clerk in the bank can also log into the bank account and check my balance and XYZ things. But I can change my password. A clerk of a bank cannot change my password because he is not authorized to do that. I am authorized to do it. I can upload my Aadhaar card, I can put my SSN details, I can do few things which the clerk of a bank cannot do on behalf of me because he is not authorized to do that. Similarly, the clerk in a bank can process my loan request, he can approve it, he can reject it. Whereas me, I can only see what is the loan number, what is the loan amount, what is the status. I cannot approve it, I cannot reject it. So there's a difference between authentication and authorization. Authentication means, do you have access to this application? That's it. Okay, well and good. Now, many people will have access to the application. hdfcbank.com. I have access, you have access, clerk of a bank has access, manager has access. Many people will have access. Now, what is authorization? Am I authorized to approve loans? Am I authorized to change my address? Am I authorized to change my phone number? So, authorization is like some part of the application you may or may not have access depending upon the role in your project. That is authorization. So, today we are going to talk about authentications and authorizations. Is it clear, guys? Is the difference between authentication and authorization clear? Anybody has any questions? Please speak up. Vijay, any questions? Sunil, any questions?
No, Nikhila.
Okay. Sunil, are you there?
No questions.
Okay. Super. So this is just a basic question they keep asking you in the interview. So please be aware. Next, they will ask you, how do you do authentication in PEGA? And how do you authorize in PEGA? So that is the follow-up question that you get in the interviews. So we'll start with authentication first. Okay. So how do you do authentication in PEGA? The basic authentication, okay? I am talking about authentication of a requester, of a operator. But we also do authentications when we are doing integrations with SOAP, REST and all these things, which also we will discuss as we keep diving deep into the training. Okay. This is authentication at operator ID level, at user level. But there are authentications at integrations levels as well. So REST and all, which you will learn towards the end of the training when you come to those topics. But when people ask you about authentications, you need to speak about all these things. So we'll start with the basic authentication, that is, how can a person get access to a project? Now, I joined a company. Okay, I was allocated to some ABC project. Okay, I went to the particular bay. I'm sitting with my team. Now I'll ask them, can you please give me the application URL to log in into the application? So what they will do? They'll give me this URL to log in into the application. Now I hit the URL, the login page comes. I don't have any username and password to log in. So I'll ask them, can you please create a user ID and password for me so that I can log in? Okay. Unlike, like Gmail or Facebook or Myntra or Amazon, you go and create your own account. You will give your details and you do that, right? That is not the case here. Somebody has to create a username and password and give it to you so that you can log in and you can change your password and do some things like that. So one of your team member, maybe your manager, maybe your team lead, maybe your administrator, We'll create username and password and give it to you, and then you will log in into the application. Okay, so that is authentication. You are authenticated and you logged in into the application. Now, what is that username and password? What do we call it in PEGA? So, in order to log in into PEGA application, any user should have something called as operator ID. This is called as operator ID. Operator, do you see? Bottom left, you see the profile. There you see something called as operator. Not profile, not preferences. I am talking about operator, not profile. Okay, profile is just read only. What is your profile? Just a read only thing. No, I'm not talking about this. Okay, I'm talking about operator. So for any person to have access to PEGA, we should have operator ID created in PEGA. We call it as operator ID. A person should have operator ID created in PEGA in order to log in into PEGA applications. Okay. Now who can create operator ID? Only people with admin privileges can create operator ID. Every developer cannot do that. You should have admin privileges. Only then you can create an operator ID. Otherwise, when you try to create it, error will come saying that you are not authorized to perform this action. So only people with admin privileges can create operators or can delete operators or can update operators. So delete, update and creating of operators can be done only by the people who have admin privileges. Okay. So first you should have an operator ID created in PEGA in order to log in into an application. Now how can I create an operator ID? So I'm an existing team member. Okay, maybe I'm a team lead or I'm a manager or I'm an existing team member. Now somebody joined new into my project. I have to create an operator ID for them so that they can log in into the project and just start exploring the application. In order to create an operator ID, I should click here. You see your create button at the top. Excuse me. You have to go to organization, category. All these are categories. And go to operator ID. Under organization, operator ID. Now it's going to ask you, please tell me what is the username. The username to log in into the application. Let's say this one I'm creating for Vijay. I'll call it as Vijay @ whatever is my application. Let's say it is facebook.com, like this. Okay. This is just a description. You can write anything here, but this is the actual operator ID. Okay. Here you can write anything as you wish, not necessary to be like this. Vijay Facebook, something like this I can write. But this is important. This is the actual operator ID. Now create. Now, just like when you create an account in Amazon or Facebook or Instagram, how do you fill all your basic information? Your first name, your last name, your gender, your date of birth, your location, your address, your phone number, XYZ things you keep filling, right? Same way you have to fill in PEGA. First name, last name, designation, phone number, email ID, access group. We'll talk about access group, your time zone, your locale, then which company, which project, which team, who is your reporting manager, what skills do you hold, your work queues. We'll talk about work queues later. Business calendar means like what are your working days, what's your non-working days, what are your holidays, okay, who is your replacement, and if you want to change your password, you can change, and different other ways of authentication. We'll talk about it later. History. Every single rule in PEGA will have history. Like why did you create it? Where are you using it? You have to write it down here. It's just a best practice. Okay. Now, this is how you create an operator ID in PEGA. Just fill the mandatory fields. Okay. For now, just fill the mandatory fields. Now, access group is mandatory. So I'll just give something here. We'll talk about access group. Okay. Just ignore it for now. Okay, I'm just filling only the mandatory fields. Organization division unit is mandatory. Although there's no star here, it is mandatory. If you try to save it, it will throw an error. See, you see all stars here. So which company, which project, you need to fill all this. For time being, I'm just pulling some existing data and I'm filling it. Okay, and the rest all are optional. Password is mandatory. Just a second, guys. Okay, so just fill all the mandatory info. Password I need to update. Just give any password of your choice. Just make sure you remember it. Okay, submit, save. So when you click on save, only people with admin privileges can only create operators. If any other person is attempting to do, okay, it will throw an error. So it says default accessible field cannot be empty. Okay. Hey, you need to select this radio button. So that is a default one should be selected. Just say okay. Now let's try to log in. Okay, I'm taking a new session. Whatever I have created, just try to log in. vijay@facebook.com and rules. Okay, that's it. I'm able to log in and you can look at my operator ID here. That the one that we just created. Just a second. Some student is not able to log in. Okay. So that's it. This is how you create an operator ID in
You have to
PEGA.
authorize him.
Sorry.
No, no, I was in terms of the what you are teaching. I said you have to authorize
Hmm.
him. No, I was joking.
Right. So this is only about authentication. You're right. So this is only about authentication. Now we have to authorize him. Okay. So first we are dealing with only authentication. Next topic is all about authorizations. Okay, so this is authentication. So authentication means just granting access to an application is authentication. So how do you grant it? By just giving him a username and password so that he is able to log in into the application. This is authentication. Now what is this called as? This is called as operator ID in PEGA. Now the next question is, where can I see all the operator IDs of a project? Okay, so you have to go to Records Explorer. We call all these as explorers. Okay, these all are called as categories. Whatever you see under the create button, all these are called as categories, organization category. These all are called as explorers. So Records Explorer, same organization category. It's a single click, okay, not right click. It's a single click or expand. I just did an expand. And operator ID. So you will find all the list of operators which are there in this application you will see here. Okay, so you can see these are the operators in my project. So operators you can see under organization, operator ID under records explorer. All the list of operators you can see. Suppose somebody left your project. They are no longer a part of your company or no longer a part of the project. You need to remove them, right? So you come here and you just click on the delete button and that's it. He is no longer authorized to log in into your application. So you can delete, update or create operators if and only if you are an administrator. Others cannot do that. Okay. Now this is how it goes. Now the most important interview question, the next thing is, where do you store operators in PEGA? See, always we store data in the database tables, right? PEGA is just a tool which where you do only front end. Like you build the screens, you build the logic and all these things. Now how about data storing? Whether you use Java or .NET or SCP or Python, whatever you use, end of the day, you always need a database to store the data. Now in PEGA, where are you storing the operator's information? This is important from interview point of view, and also when you work in day-to-day life, you need to know this. Where is my data getting stored? Where are my operators getting stored? As a developer, you need to know this. So there is a table in PEGA called as PR underscore operators. Okay. It's a PEGA's built-in table. So whenever you install PEGA software, okay, PEGA will give you some built-in tables. Okay, so PR underscore operator is a PEGA's built-in table where all the operators information is stored. Now you go to Amazon or you go to HDFC or you go to Citibank or you go to Wells Fargo, whichever company you are working. If you open a PEGA project, or everybody will have the same table called as PR underscore operators, where the operator IDs are stored. It's a common table. So project to project, it will not change. Okay. For all PEGA projects, there is only one table called as PR underscore operators where all the operators are stored. Okay. But everybody will have a separate installation of PEGA, right? So everybody will have their own table. So whatever data you see in Nikhila's PR underscore operators table will not be present in Sunil's PR underscore operators table, because my software installation is different, his software installation is different. Okay, but the table name is same. I meant to say that table name is same. Whether you open my PEGA database and check or your PEGA database and check, operator IDs are always stored in a table called as PR underscore operators. It's a built-in table of PEGA where you see all the operators information. Now just now I have created a new operator, right? So I'm going to the database. How to access the database and all that I'll teach you in the later sessions. Okay. So today we are focusing only on authentication and authorization. So I'll only discuss about that. So in the database, you can see there's a table. Do you see this? PR underscore operators. And you see a lot of tables like this, right? All these are Pega's built in. Okay. We also create our own custom tables, but these are all Pega's built-in tables. Okay. So this is the table for operator IDs. And when you query, you should find one for Vijay now because we just created it. This is all create. Do you see this Vijay at Facebook? The last row. Okay. So like this, operator IDs information is stored in this table. Now what is stored in this table? You can see when was this operator ID created, by whom it is created. Okay. Now what is the operator ID actual name? Like vijay@facebook.com. What is his access group? And what all settings you have done there? Okay. Did you give time zone? Did you give email address? Did you give his calendar? Whatever you fill on the screen, every single field you fill on the screen. When did he last log in into the application? Okay. So everything is stored like this. What is his organization, division, unit? What is his username? XYZ stuff, everything. Contact number, time zone, whatever you fill on the screen, you will find it here. Okay. So PR underscore operators is a table where you store all the info. Okay. Now how do you navigate to this? Just remember about the navigation. We go to organization and operator IDs to access all the operators. If you want to create, you can do the same thing. Just right click on organization and say create operator ID. Or you can just go to create here and say organization operator ID. End of the day, organization operator ID. That's it. Okay. Now, few important interview questions that you generally encounter on operators. First thing they ask you is, how can you create bulk operators in PEGA? Like I want to create 1,000 operators in one go. How do you create it? Okay. So some people say that, you can create it from the database because you have database, right? You have access to database. So you think that you can write down a query, insert into table name, and you can create operator IDs by creating from the database, right? That is one answer people generally give in the interviews. It is not right. Okay. Creating operators from database is not a right approach. Why? If you create an operator ID, it is anyways coming and getting stored in the database. If I create directly from database, why can't I open it from here and log in into the application? The reason is, look at the database, guys. There's one column which has binary data. Do you see this PZPV stream? In most of the PEGA tables, 90% of the PEGA tables will have a column called as PZPV stream. Why every table is having this column? PZPV stream is a column where PEGA stores the entire data in binary format, in blob format. Blob, binary large object. See, what is this? This is text. I can read the data, right? And all this is text, right? Some places you'll find integers. This is what is date time. Okay. So like this, every column is having some data type. Date time, character varying, integer. So you'll have data types which are readable. But look at this PZPV stream. It has a data type called as bytes. It is storing in the form of binary. It's a blob data type. The data is not readable. What is present inside this? This entire record of data. Okay, this whole record of data is present in that. This whole thing. Whole thing is stored in a single cell of blob. That's how PEGA stores it. PEGA will compress the whole record and store it in a single cell, which is of type blob. Okay. Now, when you run a insert query, you say insert into table name, and you try to insert a record directly into the database. Okay. You cannot insert data in this column. It is blob, man. It's in zeros and ones or in binary format. Okay. How can you convert your data into binary format and insert? You can't do that. As you can't do that, if you create an operator ID directly in the database, it is not accessible from here, or you will not be in a position to log in when operator IDs are created from the DB table directly. So creating bulk operators from DB table is not the right approach in PEGA. Okay, so this is one of the interview questions. Then how can I create bulk operators in PEGA? One way is, you take an Excel sheet, dump all the operator IDs. Okay, write down all the mandatory fields that are required to create an operator ID. Right, along with username and password, you have some mandatory fields, right? Like full name, organization, division, unit, password. So we have some mandatory fields. So put all those mandatory fields in an Excel sheet. Okay, and you can write down some code in PEGA which will read that Excel and create operator IDs. That is one approach. Second approach is, build a screen in PEGA where the user can have an upload button. When they click on upload, they can upload this Excel sheet, and you write down some piece of logic to read the data from Excel and create operators. So end of the day, either you write down some piece of code or you create manually, but not from the database. And PEGA also has some OOTB. OOTB means built-in. Okay. PEGA also has some built-in piece of code to create operators. Okay. You can see this create operator. So you can even call the Excel. You can read the Excel using this activity, and you can create work objects. So you loop on the number of records in the Excel. Suppose I have 1,000 records in the Excel. I will loop on them. I'll call this piece of code and I will get the operators created. How to do all that in detail, you will learn as we keep diving deep into the application. Okay. Just for your information, this is an interview question like how can you create bulk operator IDs in Pega? Please don't answer that I can create from DB. That's not the right approach because you have a blob column. Inserting data into blob is not possible. So that is the reason that's not the right approach. So what is the other way to create bulk operators then? The other way is, please write down some piece of code. Okay, piece of code to consume the Excel and create the operator IDs, or you design a screen in Pega where the user gets an upload button to upload the Excel, and then you trigger the piece of code to read the operators. So that's how we create bulk operators in Pega. Okay, just theoretically learn it now. Practically you will understand as we keep moving into the application, into the training. Now, the next question is, so can we create new operators by inserting a new record in PR underscore operator? I told you it's not possible because you can't insert into that blob column. Guys, it is extremely important to remember that blob column name, PZPV stream. Okay, it is important to remember. Even when I conduct mock interviews, I'm going to ask that. So please remember the blob column name, PZPV stream. Now, if I don't have, this is another interview question they keep asking you. Let's say, for example, I don't have access to the database to create a new operator. Okay, I just have to create a new one single operator ID. But I don't have access to the database and I'm not an administrator. So I cannot create operator ID even from the Dev Studio. So how can I create it? Can anyone answer this question? I'm not an administrator, so I can't go and create an operator ID like this. And of course, I don't even have access to database, so I can't create an operator ID from here. So how can I create an operator ID in Pega in that scenario? Anyone from the session?
Can
We
I
can save
as
as our operator ID.
existing operator ID?
Insert, update, delete operators is possible only if you are an administrator.
Mm-hmm. But the operator ID record that I have using what I have login, is it an option to save as that same record?
Now, when you do a save as, you're trying to create a new one, right? Even then, it will stop you because you are not a authorized person. So
Understood.
insert, update, delete is possible only if you're an administrator. Now, I'm not an administrator. I do not have access to DB. Yes, try. Anybody from the session try to give the answers? Just think about it, guys. Uh, there's somebody with the name Pega, guys. When you join, please give your names. Don't give names like Pega, admin, and all these kind of things. Please try to give your name when you join the session. I have already conveyed the answer. Can you just think about it?
Uh,
Yes,
by
maybe you
executing
can
the
use that
activity.
ODB rule
Ah,
create operator.
exactly. That is what you have to do. Exactly. Just tell them we have some OOTB rule, or you write down some piece of code, and through code you can create operator. That way they can't stop you. So you run the code, operator ID gets created. That's it. Okay. So if you do not have privileges, you can even do this way. Okay. So this is an interview question, guys. Just remember. Now the next one is, do we have any OOTB rules to create operators? I have just shown you. There is an activity called as create operators using which you can create operators. Now what is activity and all? Don't worry, you will learn as we keep moving into the training. Okay. Just today's session is only about learning operator IDs and different levels of authorizations. Okay, so we'll learn all these things later on. Now, I have an operator ID, but I'm unable to log in despite giving the correct credentials. What could be the issue? Any guess? Okay. See, in order to debug these
Maybe
kind of things,
maybe we may don't have access for that resource. I mean authorization, something
right.
related to that.
You may not have access to that, or maybe sometimes it could be like your access is revoked. Okay, maybe your access was revoked by mistake. Somebody has deleted it, or maybe that was accessed for various reasons. Okay, so or you can check in the logs. If something goes wrong, you can even check in the logs, guys, why you are not able to log in. Okay, so this could be various reasons. One thing is like your access is revoked. Another thing is like maybe you don't have access to that particular application. Okay, so various reasons. In that case, what you can do is you can ask one of your teammates. As I told you, people can access other operator IDs from this list. Just go to organization and operator ID. From this, I can open anybody's operator ID and I can just try to change the password, save, and I can give them. And they should be in a position to log in, and after login, they can change their password. Okay. So if you're not able to log in, the one reason could be also be this one. So what if disable operator is enabled? Okay. Please remember this. If somebody is not able to log in, this can also be a reason. So sometimes we disable the operators. If it is disabled, they can't log in into the application. Although you are giving the right username, the right password, everything is correct, you have an operator ID in the database, everything is good. Suddenly you are not able to log in. Maybe this got enabled. Okay. If disable operator is enabled, the person will not be able to log in. So check this one. Okay. Remember this disable operator ID thing. Now, how to create bulk operators? Again, this was already answered. Just use this OOTB activity, upload an Excel or upload a CSV file, or try to consume it directly, and we can create bulk operators in Pega.
Nikhila.
Mhm. Sure, please.
So if I'm not admin, actually still I can able to access list of operators. I can go
Yeah, yeah.
into
Yes,
others
access.
operators.
You can look at the data. You can't insert, update, and delete, but you can always look at the content.
I can't edit others if I'm not
You
the
can't
admin.
edit, but you can see the whole list. You can see.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Can anyone disable it? Like privileges?
No,
Okay.
no, you can't because you are not an admin, right? Only
Okay.
admins can update, delete, or create new operators. So this is updating it. If I click on save, I'm updating it, which I cannot do if I'm not an admin.
Okay.
Okay. So in real time, we don't have any explicit person who is an admin to do all these things. Maybe my manager or maybe my team lead will have admin privileges to do all these kind of things. Okay, you can just check who can create operators and all. Now, any questions so far about operator ID?
I got one when you mentioned that if something goes wrong, we can check in logs. But for example, if I am unable to log into my application using the operator credential I had,
No,
then
not you.
how?
Somebody from your team should assist you. You can't check the
Okay,
logs because you're not able to log in, right? So you will not be able to check as well.
okay,
Otherwise, other option is if you use Splunk, you can check in the Splunk.
okay, clear.
Okay. Now this is about operator ID, right? And how do you log in into application? Now, is this the way that we log in into application in real-time projects? No. This is not the way we log in into applications in real-time projects. So those who do not have any IT experience, it is for them. Guys, when we work in real-time projects in IT industry, generally when I hit the URL, I will not see this login screen. Okay. In real-time Pega projects, we will not see this login screen. I will not be prompted to provide username and password. Then how will I log in into the application? When I hit the URL, immediately I will log in into the application. Does that mean I am not authenticated? No, I am authenticated. Only if I have access to the application. Guys, somebody is not on mute. Uh, Only if I have access to the application, I will be able to log in. If a person does not have access to the application, when he hits this URL, they will see a message called as you are not authorized to access this application. But how am I able to log in without even giving my username and password? So that is called as single sign-on in Pega. Okay. So most of the real-time projects, not only Pega, okay, any Pega, any real-time project, maybe on Java, maybe on .NET, maybe on any other tool or technology, everybody uses something called a single sign-on. Single sign-on. Single sign-on means only once you will give the credentials, only once you will give the username and password. And with that username and password only, they will grant you access to all the applications in that company. Okay, just a second. They will be able to access. Okay, they'll be able to access all the applications in the company. How does that work? So how it works is, generally we use company laptop, right? So when we unlock the laptop, we will give one username and password while unlocking the laptop. So those credentials will be considered. Okay. And when you log in, they will take, when you try to hit this URL, they will take that username and password and they will go to some directories. Okay. We have something called as SAML, LDAP. Okay. Like this, we have different directories. LDAP is a different application. SAML, SAML is a different application. They are actually directories. Do you remember in olden days we used to have telephone directories where they will maintain all the people names, phone numbers, right? So similarly, LDAP, SAML are directories. In that they will maintain all the people in my company, their names, their email address, their first name, last name, their all applications they have access, entire information will be maintained in that. Now, when I hit this URL, what will happen? They will first hit LDAP or they will hit SAML. They will check, okay, what all applications Nikhila has access. They will pull that data and they will allow me to log in. If Nikhila has access to this application, automatically I'll be able to log in. If Nikhila's name is not tagged to that application in LDAP or SAML, they will throw an error, sorry, you are not authorized to log in into the application. Okay, so generally in real-time applications we do not give usernames and passwords. The screen itself will not come for us, and even the URL will be different for us. The URL will be like this: pr ldap1, like this the URL will be there. So in the URL, if you see something like this, pr ldap, okay, if you see something like this, it means you have single sign-on enabled. If you don't have single sign-on, then you will have like this, just like how we had PR servlet. So PR servlet is there means it is non-SSO. Non-SSO means no single sign-on. You have to give username and password. The screen will also come. If PR servlet word is not there in the URL and you see something called as LDAP1, LDAP, something like that, it means SSO is there. Single sign-on is there. SSO, non-SSO. Okay, so those who are from non-IT background, just for you guys, when you get into any project, when you ask them the URL, don't expect them to give you usernames and passwords. Okay, because in real time we don't log in with usernames and passwords. Then how should I ask them, how can I get access to the application? Just go and tell them, how can I get access to the application? So they will tell you the process to get access to the application. Generally, we raise it like a ticket. So we raise tickets or we mail to a particular team to get access to the application. Then those people will insert your details in LDAP. Once your details are inserted in LDAP, you will get access to the application. So that's how we work in real time. Okay. Real time, we do not give usernames and passwords. And the URL will have a word called as LDAP. So how does single sign-on work in Pega? So you just hit the URL, automatically you get into the application. There's no this thing, usernames and passwords. Then the next question that you encounter in interviews is, so when I
Nikhil.
have SSO, yes.
So I am logging in as a SSO, but mine is not LDAP. It shows as a PR auth.
Oh, you're using different ones. See, not always you will have LDAP, right? Somebody uses SAML. There are different directory protocols. So, but
Okay,
in end of
those
the
are
day,
a
this
directory that those
they're
are
all
called as a
directories.
directory protocol. Okay,
Directory protocols actually. Those all are. So through
okay,
them you are
okay,
doing it.
okay. Sure, thank you.
Okay. So using them you'll be able to do. Okay. Okay. Now the next question that the interviewer asks you is, okay, if I'm using LDAP or if I'm using single sign-on for my application, is it required to have operator ID in Pega? Can I log in without having operator ID? Can anyone answer this question to me? I'm using single sign-on. So when I hit the URL, what Pega will do is Pega will go and hit LDAP or whatever directories I'm using, it will hit there. It will get whatever applications I have access and it will allow me to log in. In that scenario, do we still need this operator ID?
Yes,
Answers yes.
yes,
Yes.
Ye- Yes.
Yes.
Otherwise, where I will map the access groups, then maybe.
Exactly right. Still, you need an access to the application using this operator ID only, because operator ID just grants you access to the project. But what level of authorization we need to give, X, Y, Z things, and all that is all mapped in the access group and all that. So it is mandatory to have an operator ID in Pega in order to log in into Pega. Although you are connecting to LDAP or SAML or whatever SSOs you are using, what they will do is when you hit the URL, you will go to that SSO thing. That SSO thing will see, okay, Nikhila has access to this one. It will create an operator ID. You will write down some piece of code to create an operator ID in Pega. So every time Nikhila logs in, they will go to LDAP. They will check Nikhila's credentials. I mean, like what all access she has and everything. They will create an operator ID in Pega through that code. You saw it, create operator and all that stuff. So they will create an operator ID in Pega for Nikhila and they'll allow me to log in. So today I logged in into the application. They created an operator ID for me. Again, tomorrow I came and I logged in. Again, they will delete my old operator ID and they will create a new operator ID. Day after tomorrow, I logged in. Again, they will delete my old operator ID and create a new operator ID. So, like this, for every login, they will go check in LDAP. Does this person have access? If yes, create an operator ID for him or her and allow them to log in. So, it is mandatory to have an operator ID in Pega despite you using SSO. Okay, otherwise you cannot log in into the applications. And every time you hit the SSO, we will run some piece of code in Pega which creates an operator ID for you depending upon the mapping you have in the SSO. So in the single sign-ons, it is mentioned that Nikhila is a manager. So they will give me all manager related access in this application. It is mentioned Nikhila is an administrator. So they will give me all admin related access and they'll create an operator ID for me. So every time you log in, they will create an operator ID for you and they will do it. Okay. So in real time, we use SSO. We do not use non-SSOs. Mostly we do not use non-SSOs. So in real time, you will never give usernames and passwords. You hit the URL, you will be in the application screen. That's it.
So do you mean the operator is daily creating and deleting because of the
Ah,
SSO?
right. Yes, every day it will create and delete because of SSOs.
But when I look at the history, it says actually I am doing daily logging in through SSO, but the operator ID says the history says I was added long back. Is that
So maybe they're maintaining it because it is coming from the database, right? So they may be maintaining it. Depends upon how you write the code. Sometimes how we write is we just try to update the existing operator ID. We don't delete it. Okay, some different ways we write the SSO logic. Depending upon that, it will be there. See,
okay?
sometimes, we also put some backup logic like, suddenly SSO is not working. Let's say you have some issue with the LDAP or SSO. So what happens? None of the operators will be able to log in. So sometimes what we write the logic in such a way that if SSO is not working, who are all the existing operators should be able to log in. So depending upon the way you write down the logic, it will be maintained. Sometimes we delete and create. Sometimes if the operator is existing, we let them log in. Different ways we write down the logic. Depending upon that, you will see it. Okay. Now, when SSO is enabled, guys, you will find this checkbox. Use external authentication. If your operator ID does not have this checkbox, then SSO will not happen. So your operator ID will have this checkbox. Only then SSO will happen. Otherwise, it will become a non-SSO. Use external authentication should be enabled. Okay. Just good to know all these things. Now, just good to know, I want to show you how generally SSO works in Pega. Um, you see this authentication service. Okay. Don't dive deep into all these things because we are still in day one, right? I'm just telling you. When you hit that URL, okay, that URL will go and trigger this service. Just see, we have some basic authentications. I think this one. Okay. This is called as authentication service. So they will hit the LDAP. This service is responsible for hitting the LDAP, checking whether this person has access or not, what access he has, then creating or updating the existing operator IDs and allowing you to log in. All that generally they do here. Hmm, maybe not this. You can just check. All these are those only authentication related stuff. Okay, you can see OAuth authentication. Similarly, we write for LDAP or whatever it is, we will write down the logic and we will do all the things. Just good to know. Okay. So like this, they write some piece of code to let you log in. So if you check in your applications, if you go to authentication service in your application, you will see one of your services will be here, which allows you to log in into your application. There you will write down this all this logic to create an operator or to update an existing operator. So according to your project, you'll write down all that and you can find it. Okay, just good to know. Any questions so far, guys? So we learned about non-SSO logins and SSO logins and about operator IDs in Pega and their database configurations. Any questions?
Yeah, when we insert the operators using Excel, how can we fill the PZ stream column as it is a blob column?
When you write through code, Pega has certain set of methods which are responsible for inserting the data into the blob column. So we call them OBJ methods. When you learn activities topic, you will learn that. So there are methods called as OBJ methods, which are especially responsible for inserting data into blob or fetching data from the blob. See, blob data is not readable, right? So if you say select star from table name, whatever data is there in blob, I can't read it. So we use certain set of methods in Pega which can help you to insert and extract data from blob. You will learn that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Nikhila, creating dynamically operator IDs, how it forms the operators and the passwords.
No, you have to fill on the data. Password is not automatically generated. So whether you give it in the Excel or create it from a screen, you have to fill all the mandatory fields: password, username, first name, organization, division, unit. All this you need to create, and then it creates. All this you need to fill the data. Whether it's in Excel or on a screen, you have to provide all this info.
Okay, I mean, creating from an external login from the external application, there will give the sign-in details, right? In the backend, it will create an operator ID in the Pega.
Hmm.
It forms a dynamic ID, right?
No, it will not find whatever you are giving as a user ID, that will be your user ID. It will not form anything dynamic. Whatever you fill as user ID, password, exactly the same things will be used to create. It will not create anything dynamically. Why will it create? End of the day, it is the logic that you have written, right? If a developer has written the logic to take that username and create it, the same thing will be created. Why will it create something new until and unless you write that piece of code? Okay.
Nikhila, while creating for bulk of operators, right? So, what are the necessity data we need to give for through Excel, or is there any other way to create the bulk of operators?
Just now we spoke. Take an Excel sheet, write down
Hmm.
the mandatory fields only: full name, email ID, access group, organization, division, unit, password. These are the only mandatory fields. And this is also an interview question. When you create an operator ID, what are the mandatory fields? As I told you, operator ID is mandatory, full name is mandatory, organization, division, unit, access group, and password. Just put this
Oh.
basic data and you should be able to create.
So, is the only way? Is there any other ways to create the bulk of operators?
No, I
Only
told you,
Excel.
right? Uh, Excel, CSV, anything. Basically, file upload.
Oh,
Creating a piece of writing a piece of logic and file upload and file processing we are doing. It can be Excel, it can be CSV, anything whichever you are comfortable with.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now take a pause here. Let's move to the next topic. So next topic onwards, here it is all authorization. So till now it is authentication. How can I allow a person to get into my application? So we saw that SSO way and non-SSO way. Non-SSO way, you give username and password, you get in. SSO way, in the LDAP, they will map all the details. Okay. So when you hit the URL, you will be able to log in. So generally in real time, for 90% of the applications, we never give usernames and passwords. Suppose I logged in into my office laptop. I click on HR Workways. I will go to HR Workways where I can see all my salary details, my designation, my XYZ stuff. I click on Workday. I can log in, I can check my pending leaves, XYZ, these all, you can do it. I click on my Pega application, I'll be. So most of the times, they will never ask you usernames and passwords because it's all configured with LDAP or SAML or whatever it is, single sign-on things. They will never ask you usernames and passwords because everybody will do that. See, it's like, for example, guys, please go on mute if you're not speaking. Somebody's not on mute. Okay. It's like, for example, mm, see, I'm trying to log in into Pinterest. Okay. I can create my own account, but do you see this continue with Google? Okay. So if I give the username and password of Google, I can log in into Pinterest. Similarly, Bing, I think. No, 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 no. Mm, any website that you remember where we can log in with Google, guys?
In the Grubhub.
Grubhub. Try. I
Quora.
remember. No, no, Fever. I remember. Fever login. Okay.
Canva also you can use.
Oh, is it? Okay. See, look at
Yeah,
this.
even
Continue with Google. Okay.
Chat GPT
So,
as well.
oh, is it? Okay. Anyways, we have two of them now. Thank you for suggesting. So look at this, continue with Google. This is Pinterest. They are asking you to continue with Gmail credentials or Google credentials. This is Fiverr. They are asking you to log in with Gmail credentials. So what exactly is happening here? uh, Google is acting like your LDAP or SAML or like a directory. So Google contains all the users, usernames and passwords. Now what Pinterest is trailing is, if you say continue with Google, Pinterest will go and hit Google, and Google will say yes, this person is authenticated. You can allow him to log in. So Pinterest will allow you to log in. Same thing with Fiverr. Fiverr will hit Google, and Google will say yes, this person is authenticated. You can allow him to log in. So it's like just like how Google is acting like a directory. It contains all your usernames, passwords, your date of birth, XYZ stuff it will contain, right? Similarly, in real time, you will have multiple projects. Like you'll have HR workways, you will have Workday, you will have time off, you will have n number of applications. Now what all these applications will do, they will connect to one application called as LDAP, where all your usernames, passwords, first name, last name, phone number, XYZ access is maintained. Now it will say yes, this person is authenticated, you will be able to log in. Just like how Pinterest is a downstream application, Fiverr is a downstream application, Google is acting like a directory, storing all your details and saying, yes, I authenticated him. Same way in real time, HR Workways, Workday, Time Off, all these are downstream applications. LDAP is an upstream application. So LDAP is going to authenticate, yes, this person is a part of this project, allow him to log in. So the same way SSO is working. Okay. So Google in all these examples is just acting like a directory, allowing you to log in into various projects. Okay. That's how SSO works in real time. Okay, we will tag everything in this, and with that you will be able to log in most of your applications. Okay, now the next part is, this is authentication. Now comes authorization. So now authorization is like, so once you log in, okay, once you log in into your account, what all you can see, what all you can access. So now I logged in. Can I click on this and look at the data? Can I click on this? Can I create an operator? Can I update it? That's all a part of authorization. Okay, now how do you handle authorization in PEGA? So first level is creating access groups. Okay, now inside the operator ID, do you see there is something called as access group in PEGA? Okay, so access group is the first level of authorization that we do. Okay, now what exactly is access group? Why do we need it? Now you are allowing everybody to log in into this application. Very good. But generally in any project we'll have different roles, right? Like some people are managers, some people are administrators, some people are developers. Like if you take any real-time application, let's say for example you took Facebook, some people are Facebook developers. Okay, some people are administrators, some people XYZ, you'll have like this. Now administrators can delete or create any post or anything on Facebook. Developers can change the look and feel of the home page, they can change the look and feel of the banner, maybe the icon, they can do all those kind of coding stuff, right? So users, they can only post some posts in Facebook, they can put some images, they can put some videos and all. So how do I decide when a person logs in what he is, what he can do and what he cannot do? How do I decide? That is all possible only through authorization. So in PEGA, we get authorization through access groups. Okay. Now just open the access group. You click on this icon, access group will open. See what is inside it. The first thing that you see is application. So which all applications this person can access. Okay. Which all applications he can access. Just a second. Let me pause my screen for a second. Sharing my screen. See, generally Do you see this? Mm. Do you see when I log in into Gmail? Okay, I can access all these applications, right? All these I can access, right? So how is that coming? Because in your operator ID, Google team has tagged you to all these applications. So now you are authenticated, Nikhila. You can access all these applications, right? So how did they do that? So in the access group, we mention which application you can access. So same way what Google team did is once I logged in into Google, they mapped me to like around 20 applications. So all the 20 applications I'm able to access. Similarly in Pega, when a user logs in, you can map him to n number of applications. Okay, so like this you can map him. I mapped him to an application called as Pega rules. I mapped him to an application called as DM sample. I mapped him to an application called as claims. Look at the application name here. Okay, I mapped this person to an application called as Cosmos. Like this, just like how Google tagged you to multiple applications, similarly, I can also tag my users to multiple applications. But note, multiple applications should be there on the same server. Okay, on the same Pega server or Tomcat server, if you have created multiple applications, all of them you can mention like this. If they're on different servers, you can't do that. Okay, so whatever applications are built on the same server, for this particular user, I can give access like this. So this is authorization. When a person logged in, he can access Pega rules, claims, DM sample, Cosmos React, all these applications he can access, just like how I'm able to access all these. Okay, so this is authorization, which all projects a person can access, you will mention by giving the access groups. Okay, okay, good. Now he is able to access all these things. So whatever applications he have access, he can switch like this. See, I can switch to DM sample, I can switch to Pega. Okay, if you add more applications, more options will come here. Whichever you want, you can switch, just like how you are switching here, right? Same way you can switch here. Okay, fine. After switching, what am I supposed to see? If I'm an administrator, my screen should be different. If I'm a user, my screen will be different. If I'm a developer, my screen will be different. So what screens you will see after logging in? It will depend upon this one, portal. Okay. So now Nikhila moved to PRPC application. Okay. PRPC application she moved. Now in PRPC application, what screen should Nikhila see? Is Nikhila a developer, manager, user? What she is? So those are called as portals. What screen you should see upon logging in, we will mention in the portals. Similarly, you can have one or multiple portal. Okay. Suppose I logged in into Facebook. I can look at it like a user. I can look at it like an administrator because I'm an administrator of certain groups. I can work like an admin and I can also be like a user. Same way, in the same application, you can be a developer. You can also be a manager, right? And you can also be an admin. So we can have multiple portals like this. And portals you switch from here. I can switch to a manager portal. I can stay in the dev portal. So whatever you want, you can switch. So portal switching you can do. Okay. Here you can do application switching. In the same application, different portals you can do here. Okay. And where is all this stored? In the access group. So every person will have one operator ID. In that operator ID, I will decide which projects this person has access by mentioning the list like this. Now within each project, what is his access? Is he an admin? Is he a manager? Is he a user? I will mention that here in the portal. Okay. Any questions so far, guys?
Um, Nikhila, the point you made about applications staying on the same server can be accessed only by an operator ID. Can you little bit clarify on that?
Sure, I'll do that. Okay. So just understand that every time a person needs to log in into Pega, you need to have an operator ID. Without operator ID, you cannot log in into Pega. So operator ID to log into Pega. Now after logging into Pega, I have to decide which applications he need access, right? Otherwise, what will he see? So I have to decide which applications he has access. So in the operator ID, I will mention access group, which will decide which applications I have access to, which projects I have access to, how many projects I have access to. I will add in the access group. Okay. Now, after moving to an application, let's say you switch to some application. Now, what screen I should see? Should I look at admin screen? Should I look at user screen? Should I look at manager screen? Or maybe should I look at auditor screen? So, or should I look at customer support representative screens? Like what exactly is my role in that project? Depending upon my role, my screens will come. So I have to confirm the portals. So all this is a part of authorization. Till here it is authentication. Access group is authorization because I have to tell what application he has access. Screens, it is also authorization, which screens he can see. This is all authorization. Now I said you can map multiple projects here, but note the project should be on the same server. Like say for example, I installed Pega. Okay. In this, I said create new application and I'm creating multiple applications. Okay. I'm creating some applications here. Now these applications only I will have access, right? Will Vijay have access or will Vivek have access? They will not have access because their Pega software is different. Whatever they build in their machine, they will have access. Whatever I build in my machine, I will have access. So now when somebody is hitting this URL and trying to log in into this, whatever projects Nikhila has built in this particular Pega installation, they will get access. Why will they get access to something which was built on Vijay's machine or Vivek's machine? Because on this instance of Pega, only these applications are built, these they will get access. That is what I meant. See, you can see an application called as claims column approvers. It was built by me in my Pega in my machine. Okay. So only people who create an operator ID in this will be able to access it. Somebody who created operator ID in your machine, they will not be able to access it, right? So similarly in real time, they will install Pega on different servers. Okay. Generally one project will be maintained on one server. But sometimes if it is a small project, we will maintain like 5, 6 projects on the same server. So it will be shared, it will sharing. Then database will be shared, servers will be shared, everything will be shared. So shared resources we do. Okay, then multiple projects will be there on the same server. So in that case, in the operator ID, you can give access to multiple projects. Okay. But if the application is built on a different server, different Pega installation, different Pega instance, then I can't access it, right? Only applications which are built on this Pega software installation or this Pega instance only, I can access it. Others I can't access. Now, did you get my point?
Yes, clear.
Okay. So first thing is authentication, guys. So authentication we do by creating an operator ID in Pega and allowing him to log in. Now after allowing him to log in, I have to authorize him. Authorization I do by giving access groups. In the access group, we mention what projects they can access and what portals they can see. We mention in the access group. Anybody has any questions so far?
Nikhila, coming to the this PC admin, so do we need to configure, right? Can you just explain how to configure that one?
Which one? Which one, please, it admin? I didn't get
PC
it.
admin, I'm talking about the database.
Oh, that I told you, right? As we keep diving into the training, we'll learn all that. Right now, The focus is only on authentication and authorization. When we
Oh,
come
okay.
to data classes and data tables topic, I'll teach you all the configurations.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Now the question should be like, one question to you guys. Suppose as a part of this access group, okay, I want to give, suppose for this operator ID, I want to give access to multiple projects. Okay, so I gave him access to Gmail. I gave him access to Google Docs. Okay, I gave him access to Google Photos. I gave him access to Google Drive. Now, when the person logged in, he gave the username and password and he logged in. How will you know what is the default application to show him? Should I show him Gmail by default or Google Docs by default or Photos or Drive by default? How will Pega get to know that? Anybody has any idea?
By access group?
by giving
Uh,
access to the
yeah, I'll give
um,
access groups for
business.
like we will give 4 different access groups here. See, for every application we'll
Radio
have an app.
button. By using the radio button?
Ah, exactly. Very good.
Default portal.
This default radio button is important. Okay. See, one operator ID will have different access groups like this. Okay. Like for example, let's say th this is like Google colon, okay, Gmail. And then I said Google colon Drive. Okay. And then I said Google colon Photos. And so on and on. Now, when I log in, what should be the default application? Whatever you selected here, this becomes the default application. So please be aware of this. Okay. Despite you having multiple access groups, whichever is selected as default, that becomes default. Now, how can I access Drive, Photos, and other things then? From here, you have switch application, right? From here, switch. Okay, you can switch. I didn't save it. Okay, so it is not coming. But when you save, all these will come here. So you can switch from here. Okay, so this default button is important. Now get inside the access group. There's always an interview question. How can I map multiple applications to an operator? Okay, or they ask you, can I give multiple applications in the access group? Look at this, guys. This is access group. I can only give one application. There is no plus icon to add multiple applications. Okay, please remember this. In one access group, I can give only one application. It's one-to-one mapping. Whereas in the operator ID, I can give multiple access groups. Okay, so one operator can have multiple access groups, and in each access group, only one project will be there. And similarly, you can give multiple portals, but one should be a default portal. And how can I switch to other portals? From here, you can switch. Okay, so one interview question that you can encounter here is, how can I give access to multiple applications to a user? Please mention that you have to map multiple access groups. It is not possible to give multiple applications in the same access group. No. Okay. And the next thing that you need to know is, generally access groups have a naming convention that we follow. Okay. Access group name in Pega is generally application name colon role. Like for example, if I'm creating an access group for Gmail users, Gmail colon users. I'm creating an access group for Gmail administrators, Gmail colon admin, Gmail colon dev team, Gmail colon managers. Like this, we create access groups. If maybe somebody is not following this standard, that is their problem. But Pega suggested way of creating an access group is you have to create like this only. Application name colon their role. Okay. Now, if I have 100 users of Gmail in my project, for all the 100 users, I'll give this access group in their operator ID. If I have 10 administrators in my Gmail project, all the administrators will have this access group. Okay. So one access group will be given to multiple people. See, 3 people have this access group now. Okay. This access group is given to 3 people. So like this, one access group will be given to multiple people. Now, you should be aware of one thing. One access group is given to multiple people, right? So Gmail users. Nikhila is a Gmail user. Okay. So she has Gmail users access group. Now Vivek is a Gmail user. So he has access group. Let's say Kita is a Gmail user. So she has this access group. One more person will take Gandhi. Okay. Gandhi is a Gmail user. So he will have his access group. Okay. So what's so special about it? The special about it is you should be very careful when you're changing anything in this access group. Okay. Any changes in this access group will impact all the users tagged to it. So many times it happens in real time. Okay. People they're just doing some testing. Okay. So let's say I'm doing some testing, and I don't want to have these default portals, so I removed something and I added some new portal. Okay. I added some new portal just because I want to test something. I added this new portal and I saved it. Now what will happen? None of these people will be able to see the portals that they saw earlier. Why? Because you removed all those portals and you added something new. This something new will only come to all the operators, because access group is tagged to multiple users, right? So any changes you do here will affect all the users. So please be very careful when you do deal anything with the access group. Just for your testing, or just for your trial and error, if you are doing anything in the access group, please be aware that all the users who are tagged to this access group will be impacted. So once it happened in my real-time project. Okay, one developer, what he did, he opened developers access group, he removed dev portal from that. Now none of the team members were able to get dev studio. It became very difficult for us. Okay, so please be very careful when you do such kind of things. Access group is assigned to multiple users, so when you touch it, make sure everybody will be impacted, and whatever you're doing, it's not becoming a showstopper. Okay, so any questions so far? Okay, now if somebody is logging into an application, what do they need first? First they need an operator ID to log in. Okay, now inside that operator ID, access group will be mentioned. One or multiple? Of course, one or multiple you can mention. You can have multiple access groups tagged to a person. Now what will be there inside the access group? Inside the access group, I'll have application name. One or multiple? One only. Multiple cannot be given. Only one application inside an access group. Now, portals. One or multiple? Multiple. I can give multiple portals. Okay. Now, whatever you give by default comes by default. Rest you can switch by using the switch button. Any questions so far?
Nikhila, we have the option for access roles, right? So
Hmm.
what is that access role here?
We'll talk about it. I'm going step by step. So first operator,
Okay.
then access group. If you're comfortable with it, we'll dive deep into the roles.
Okay.
Okay. Now we created one dummy operator, right? Let's see how access groups impact him. Let's open the dummy operator. List of operators I can see from organization category operators. So this guy, let's open and see. So he has PRPC administrators access group. I want to give him multiple access groups. I gave him claims. Okay. DM sample 3. Okay. Now PRPC was kept as his default application. So look at this. Application name is PRPC, PEGA platform. Okay, that is the full name of the application. You can say PRPC. Now he has additional applications and he wants to switch. Switch application. Claims and DM sample. Claims. If somebody asks you, you are in which application, always look at the name here. This is your application name. Maybe in claims, I gave him user portal. See, it came to user portal. Because in claims, I gave him user portal. See? So it came to user portal. So this is how you can switch between the applications. Okay. Now, how about, let's say for example, in the application, I want to give him different portals. Like I want to give him developer portal, I want to give him user portal, and I want to give him uh, some case manager portal, something like that. I'm giving multiple portals, and I made developer as default portal. When you save from here, that is not available, so it's throwing some error. Mm, okay, I'll do one thing. I'll save from here. It should work. Just a second. Claims. Okay. I just want to add some more portals to him. Developer. Array, why it is telling like that? Okay, fine. Let's give some other portal. Wait. Okay. I give 3 portals and developer as default. Now, where is Vijay now? Vijay has 3 applications. PRPC claims DM sample. Vijay is in PRPC application. Now he want to switch to claims. Switch application, claims. So this is application switching. Now in claims, open his access group. Okay. In claims, he has 3 different portals. Access manager, developer, case worker, 3 different portals. So portals you can switch from here. So right now I'm in developer portal. What are the other 2? Access manager, case worker. Access manager, case worker. Click on it. It will open another tab like this. Access manager. Okay. Similarly, click on the other one like this. Okay. So application switching, portal switching, I'm teaching you. Okay. Operator ID, access group, you can see here, operator ID, access group. Okay. So this person has access to 3 different access groups, and in each access group again he has different portals, and this is how we are switching. Application switching from here, portal switching from here. And whatever you mention by default, that comes by default, rest you can switch. All good? Any questions?
If I make a default is a manager portal, how we can back to developer portal?
Generally we'll get an option there. Let's say for example, one second. Generally in our portals we get those options to switch portal there. Generally we give at least case worker, case manager. Yeah, you see user portal, right? One second. Generally, on the top right, we give them profile and we allow them to switch between the applications. Let me show you. This is, see, switch portal. Do you see here? You're getting at the bottom, right? When we build our own custom portals, okay, in real time, we build our own portals, right? See, Paytm, they have a different portal. Amazon, they have a different portal. So in real time, when we build our applications, we don't use this built-in portals of Pega. Depending upon how my client wants, I will design the portal like this. Okay, maybe my client wants all the options at the top, or maybe he wants all the options on the right side panel. How my client wants, according to that I will design. I will not use this OOTB portals in real time. Okay, so there we will be giving option like this to switch portal. Like you see now, we give them options there. So now here you see at the top right. Earlier you saw at the bottom left. So it depends like that. Okay. Any questions about access groups, applications, default portals? Anybody has any questions? So this is authorization. Access group is authorization. Rajesh, any
In the
questions?
top,
Yeah, Gandhi.
so in the top, when you say switching the application means, it means indirectly it is switching the access group. Is that correct?
Ah, exactly right.
Okay.
Rajesh, any questions? Rajshri, any questions?
Yeah, in the advanced tab, what do you mean by workflow?
Advanced in
Advanced tab
fact.
of the, yeah,
We'll dive deep
operator.
into that. Okay.
Advanced tab of the access group. You're right.
So we will dive deep into it. Okay. So there is some topic called as routing in Pega. Okay. When we come to routing in operator ID, you don't have right. In this you have access group. I think you're talking about. Okay, we will talk about routings, class groups, and all. So if you're asking about work queues, it will come at routing topic. When you learn about classes, class groups, and all, I will talk about work pools. Okay. So today is only authentication and authorization. So we are not diving deep into other options. Okay. So when you learn
Yeah.
what is a class, class group, and all, this will come.
So,
And just for your information, guys, we have something called as authentication timeout in the access group. Okay. Do you know what is this? Suppose I have given 3600 milliseconds or something like this. Okay. So only for this much amount of time, your session, if you leave the session idle, still it will be available. After this time, it like your authentication will be gone. Suppose, let's say, for example, I logged in. There is a friend at my desk. He said, like, let's go for a break. I left it like that. I went for a break. Now this time expired. I came back and I'm trying to work. My session has expired, so it will ask me to re-log in into the application. Okay. Let's say I went for a break. I came back within this time frame. So it will not ask me to re-log in into the application. So this authentication timeout is important because after this much amount of time frame, the session should expire. Because generally that is how people do, right? We just log the system and we go. We do not have a habit of doing a proper log off like this. We don't do that. Just system log, just that's it, we go. So this authentication timeout is important so that security point of view, we're just expiring the session if it is idle for this much amount of time. Okay, so we configure that here. Just good to know. Okay. If no questions, take a
Uh,
break for 5 minutes. Yeah,
Nikhila,
please. Hmm.
uh, I have a question here. Yeah, in this
Sure.
screen you mentioned like we have application and available portals you given, right?
Right.
Yeah. So available portals are like this is like application level or like operator ID level?
Application level. So within
Okay.
this application, I have this portals,
Okay.
because
We have
project to
two.
project
Yeah.
the portals will differ. Some
Right.
projects will have, like, maybe it's a healthcare application. They will have nurse, doctor related portals. Another project is related to banking. They will have clerk, manager, auditor, reviewer related portals. So portal is specific to an application.
Right. Suppose see we have two different users, right? So user logged in and he like come to this application screen. He will remove some portals here. One operator ID. So that would
Mhm.
impact to the other user IDs also.
Yeah, if you change anything here, it will impact everybody.
So that's
Everybody
the
who has this
application
access
level.
to.
That would be application level.
No, it is not application level, right? See, anybody who has this access group will be impacted, not others, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Also, Nikhila, the SSO configuration here only we do, right?
No, SSO we do not do here. For SSO, first you need to enable this checkbox in the operator ID, use external authentication. After that, I told you, right, we write some piece of code in Pega, which is called as authentication service. In authentication service, actually you write down some piece of code. This is the piece of code that we write. We open. So which actually hits LDAP, gets the data and do XYZ stuff. There will be some default authentications used to be there. I'm just checking if that is there still. See, check LDAP credentials. Okay, they will go and check your credentials in LDAP. Then they will create an operator ID for you like this. And then they will allow you to log in and all that.
Okay. And who does this all this configuration? Pega admin.
Developers only, but generally LSA people will do. Lead people will do. People with
Okay.
most experience.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, now guys, the session is only till 9 o'clock today and tomorrow. So what I'm thinking is, instead of taking a break, we'll just do 10 more minutes and we'll wrap up, instead of having a break and then coming back. So in this context, I just want to teach you one important thing as well. Now right? So people will have access groups and all that. Now there is one important access group. Oh, where do you find access groups in Pega? Under security category, you will find all the access groups. Okay. Under security category, you will find all the access groups. Okay. You can check all the access groups here. Now, every application, okay, generally they'll have one access group called as, oh, did I give any spelling mistake? Yeah. Okay. They will maintain one access group like this, unauthenticated. Do you know why? See, unauthenticated means if a person who does not have access is attempting to log in, what screen do you want to show him? Okay. So we also maintain one access group called as unauthenticated or unauthorized. Okay. Just good to know, guys. I want you to know that we also create an access group for unauthorized people. Various reasons. Okay. So first reason is, like, from the unauthenticated access group only, we call this service authorization service. Okay, because when the minute you try to log in, okay, still Pega hasn't created an operator ID for you. Still Pega doesn't know what access groups you can have. Okay, when you hit the URL, okay, Pega didn't authenticate you. As Pega didn't authenticate you, you will be in this access group, not the unauthenticated access group. So from unauthenticated access group context only, this LDAP related authentication services will be triggered. That is one generic reason. Second thing is, when an unauthorized person is trying to access your application, Okay, sometimes we want to show him some default portals. We just don't want to show him login screen, or we just don't want to show like you are not authorized. Sometimes we want to show a different portal, maybe a portal where we say please go to this link and raise an access request to get access to this application, or something like that. You want to have your own customized portals to show to the unauthorized users. Okay, so how do you configure that? So we will have an access group called as unauthenticated or unauthorized, where you will build some customized portal for unauthorized users. Okay, so that is also important, just good to know. Okay, like this we have unauthorized or unauthenticated access groups in every application. That is purely for the unauthorized users, because when we use SSO, okay, when we use single sign-ons, this login screens will never come. So if this person is unauthorized, he is hitting the single sign-on authorized link and is not able to log in. So how do you tell him, like, you are not authorized, please go here and raise an access request? How do you tell him? So we build a custom portal, where we will put all the steps to log in into the application, or steps to get an access, XYZ stuff you can put. Depends upon, how your client wants to have it. So generally every project will also have unauthorized or unauthenticated access group. Okay, just good to know. Okay, now also remember that every project will have different access groups for every different type of user. Like if you see now, claims is my application. I have claims approvers, I have claims authors, I have claims managers, I have claims users. Similarly, Paytm is the application. Paytm users, Paytm authors. Similarly, come down and see. Service request is an application. I have users, managers, authors. Task tracker, administrators, authors, users. Like this, for every project, we'll have different access groups for different set of users. When somebody joins a new project, joins the project, if he is an admin, I will give him this access group. He is a manager, I'll give him this access group. Okay. So like that, existing access groups we tag to the new users when they join the project. Any questions so far?
Nikhila, how about like different environments and the access group will be the same or different?
Generally, it will be the same. We promote them because generally, all access groups we need in every environment. Developers will have admin access group most of the times. Rest all managers, users, authors, we promote it.
Okay, means for the users also they have the access group of the
Users is
same.
only important, right? Because in production, users are the only actual
Right.
people, right? Dev
Mhm.
admin is only 10 to 20%. Users have the major this thing, right? So users is only important.
Nikhila, can you show how to create a new access group?
Yeah, sure. The same way, create. For operator, you went from here, right? Organization, operator ID. For access group, security, access group. Okay, always remember the style or the naming convention you should follow is your project name, colon, role. Suppose my project name is claims, colon, like you are a, let's say you are a manager, claims managers. It is already there. Okay, I'll say senior manager. Now, what's your project name? Claims. Project version, default portal. What do you want to give him by default? Specific to the application, whatever you want, you just give him. I'm just giving this one. Make sure it's default. As many portals as you want, you can add and save your changes. I'll talk about op or roles in the next session. Okay, and it is important to have timeout also, guys. Okay, if you don't have timeout, actually we ran into a production issue. The timeout was missing. So what happened is once the session times out, people are not able to log in. They have to open the browser, clear the history, browser cache, and then they have to log in. Every time they attempt to log in, they have to clear the browser cache. That is not a good experience for the users, right? So please make sure you maintain some timeout here. Okay, work pools and all I'll teach you in the later sessions. Any
So,
questions on
Nikhila,
operators access
most of
groups?
the
Hmm.
most
Go
of the
ahead.
applications are an intranet application, right? So, in real time, do we have any application for internet application? No, right?
See, no, I have even shown you one in the demo, right? Booking.com is internet. It's built on
Oh,
Pega.
okay. Booking dot.
So
Okay.
there will be internet, but as I told you, it's just like how much revenue or the return on income you're getting, if you use Pega in that area. If it is good, we
Okay.
can use it.
Because we have for banking domain and insurance and healthcare domain, right? So we can use for intranet is
See,
fine.
front
Uh,
end, we don't have that many issues to resolve. Pega is more of BPM, right? We solve mostly business process and multiple case types we'll have. So in the front end, it is just like request a checkbook, look at your pay, make a fund transfer. What is there in that? In the back end, there's a lot to do. So loan approval, there's a huge process. Suppose there is a fraud transaction which happened on your card. How can I reverse it back? How can I get a charge back? How can I file an FIR on that? There's a huge process involved. We talk to MasterCard, Visa, do this, that. So where there is maximum processing, there we use Pega. Maximum business being processed, I mean.
okay.
So, Nikhila, when you enter the name as a claims, because of that claims name only, the application drop down, the portal drop down is coming, right? Is that correct?
No, some portals are generic, some portals are common to your application. Okay, some portals are generic means the developer. Developer is Pega's built-in portal, so that is generic. Admin Studio, we spoke about 4 studios, right? Admin
Hmm.
Studio is also Pega's default, so that is generic. Case, see whatever you see with PX, PY, PZ, they are all Pega's built-in, so they will come. User portal, this is something I have built for my application, so this will not come in other access groups. If you're not in claims application and you're in some other application, this will not come. This was built very specific to my claims project. So like
Okay.
that, whichever Pega has given you by default, they will come. Whichever you built on your own, they will come, but they will not come in the other project. This will not come in the other projects. So that is the reason. If you see, when I'm in Pega application, right? Now see here, user portal is not coming. Why? Because this was built specific to my claims application, so only under this application it will come, it will not come there. So we build our own custom portals like that in real time, specific to your project.
Okay.
Okay, we don't use all this
How
OOTD portals. Mhm.
okay? How prediction studios works in real time, Nikhila?
I am not a data scientist, right? Data scientists will use it, so they will
Yeah,
upload the
data
data and
scientist
they will
will
generate.
look what. So we need to give the feed and get that statistics or how?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I only know that data scientists use it and they give the feed. How and all, I don't know, because data scientists use it. And generally in Pega projects, using data scientists, it's very rare. I never encountered much on them.
Normally won't use for applications, banking or domain, right?
Generally in day-to-day life, we are not using. It's not specific to domain. They can use it, right? In their banking also, they can feed the data. They can use AI and they can do all that. But at least in 80%, I didn't find. In somewhere they might be using it, but still.
Okay.
So, Nicola, here actually the claims, the application name came, right? How it's came from, where it's came from?
Because I have already created an application, they are coming. I will teach you in the later sessions how to create an
Okay.
application, then
Okay.
your applications
Okay.
will come. Okay, so
Okay.
how we are starting is this. First, I will teach you how to create an operator ID, how to give access to an operator, and then how can you log in. So after logging in, we will learn how to create applications. After creating
Okay.
applications, how to create classes, how to create rules, how to create flows. So that sequence we will go.
Okay.
Okay, so one by one.
Sure.
So guys, that's it for the day. So tomorrow we will explore about roles, privileges, role to objects. So today it is all about authorization and authentication basics. Okay. Tomorrow more about authorization, because roles is like within the application, how can I control access? Privileges. Within a rule, how can I control access? Role to object. Environment wise, dev, QA, UAT production, how can I control access? So all this is more about authorization, different levels of authorization. So which you'll learn in tomorrow's session. Okay. Guys, anybody from non-IT background, you're not understanding any words, please feel free to ask me. You did not understand what is dev, QA, UAT production. You did not understand what is a server. Always feel free to ask me. Okay. Any questions before we wrap up today's session?
Hi, Nikhila. Why PRPC unauthenticated access group was not there in the operator's profile? Should we add it by default?
Sorry, PRPC unauthenticated is not in which one?
No, no. In the access group, you mentioned right, unauthenticated
Uh,
access group will be there. So that
mm,
one
mm,
should be
mm.
added by default for the users.
No, we don't
Should
add,
it
right?
be added?
See, no, you need not add. See, when will unauthenticated come? I thought it will be too much to teach all this now, but just see. When if you how will you log in into the application? Let me close all these things. Okay. First, you will hit the URL, right? First, you will hit the Pega application URL. You will hit. Array. Okay. You will hit the URL. Now, what will happen when you hit the URL? They will hit LDAP directory. Okay. Where all your data is maintained. Then they will come back. You will have this authentication service. Okay. In this authentication service, you will write down logic, which will actually create an operator or update an existing operator. Okay. So, and then you will be able to log in. Now, when you log in, it all depends upon your what access group you have. Okay. What portal you have. Based on that, your login will happen. So when did your access group come into the picture? After they got to know that you are an authorized user and now they are ready to allow you to log in into the application, then your access groups and portals will come. So why will you give unauthenticated access group here? You're already authenticated, man. That's the reason we allowed you to log in. So when will unauthenticated come into the picture? Here it will come into the picture. So when you hit the URL, you are basically an unauthorized user yet. We haven't authorized you. So you are an unauthorized user. So here they will use it and then they will call the LDAP directory, the service and all, and this all will happen. Now, how will Pega get to know what is the unauthorized access group name and all those things? Guys, this is just for your info. If it is too much overload on you, please ignore all these things. Because somebody has asked, I'm conveying it. Now, when you hit the URL, what will happen is we have something called as requesters in Pega. Okay. Requester means how is the person logging in? Is the person logging in from the browser? Or is the person logging in from a portal? Or is it some background processing? Different requesters will be there. Generally, we log in from the browser, right? So there is something like this browser requester type. So in this, do you see? They mention this. So when somebody is trying to log in from the browser, please consider this access group. Now, based on this access group, they will call this service and LDAP directory and they will get your data and then give you the right access group and allow you to log in. So this access group comes into the picture when you are trying to log in from the browser. Okay. So this is all too much for you right now. Just good to know. Okay. So please
Yeah,
focus
got it.
only on operators and access groups right now. Slowly, as you keep learning Pega, you get to know all these things. So just a quick recap before we log off today. First, if a person wants to log in into Pega, the first thing that he need to have is he should have operator ID in Pega. In order to create an operator ID, you have to go to organization operator ID or go here and right click and say organization operator ID. You can create an operator ID. And list of operator IDs you will find under organization category. Inside the operator ID, there are some mandatory fields, which is an interview question. That is, you need to know the full name, the access group, organization, division, unit, and password. These are the mandatory fields to create an operator ID. You need to remember this. And what is the table for this? PR underscore operators, where all the data is maintained. Can we create bulk operators? 100% yes, but not from the database. You have to take an Excel file or CSV file and write down a piece of code to consume the file and create the operators. Do we have any OOTB code to create operators? Yes, we have, which is called as create operator. Using this, we can create operators bulk. Then, next thing is like, once a person logs in, how will you grant him access to a project? How do you do authorization? Authentication versus authorization, very important interview question. Authentication is allowing the person to log in. Authorization is, do we have access to this part of the code, this part of the code? You know, that is authorization. Can he see the data? All this is authorization. Okay. Now, how do you do authorization in PEGA? Just a second, guys. We do authorization by giving access groups, which is first level. Okay. So inside the access group, you mention the application name, the portals. Okay. And one person can be tagged to multiple applications. And in one application, he can have multiple portals. If you want to switch the application, switch from here. If you want to switch the portal, switch from here. And making any changes in the access group is going to impact all the users tagged to it. So please be careful when you touch something over here. And generally, every project will have one unauthenticated access group as well to display portals to unauthorized users. For a person who doesn't have access, if you want to display something customized, we go for unauthenticated access groups. Any questions before we log off?
Clear, Nikhila.
Super. Okay. Now, guys, we'll form a WhatsApp group from the next weekend. I want people to collab. I mean, like gather and just a second. Gather and start practicing. Okay, I'll start giving you assignments, so you should start practicing. For this weekend you don't have any assignments, but from next weekend please start practicing based on that. And those who have not installed the software, please start with the installation. Any issues during installation, I have given you the list. Please follow that and try to fix it. If you still need assistance, please reach out to me. Okay, so tomorrow we have session at 7 a.m, so please try to be on time. We'll talk about roles, privileges, role to objects, very important from interview point of view. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Yes, Rajesh, we'll talk about requesters more in detail in the next session. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Nikhila.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikhila.